Hey, it's me, Michael. I love reviewing new 3D printers, but one of the things that's kind of boring after a while is having to print the same benchmark test prints. A benchmark is a print that I use every single time to measure how good a printer is and get the measurements off of it to see, is it as good or is it worse or better than all the other printers that we've tested. This is the Kickstarter Autodesk 3D FTM assessment protocol. And it basically has me measuring all these different things and comparing values, and at the end I actually get a score. So in this first instance, I have to measure the diameter of these circles from bottom to top in the X direction and the Y direction. When I get that value, I put it into an Excel sheet. Here I'm measuring how big it was supposed to be, 25 millimeters, how far it was in the X, 24.55, how far it was in the Y, 24.44, what the X and Y average error was, and in the end I get a value, 0.5. In this case, it only gets a 1 if the magnitude of the overall average is between, or rather greater than, 0.4 millimeters. Next, I'm supposed to check and see if the spires have any stringing between them and if they came out to the right length. In this case, you can see there is stringing. It only gets a 2.5. Next, we're measuring fine features, and you see as I pull this off, there were pins printed at the same time as where these holes are. And so now I can look and see that in fact, yes, all of the pins came out of the holes, and that allows me to give them a 5. Next, we're going to flip it over and measure the overhang. This is a part of the print that's kind of hanging out in the middle of the air, and we're measuring to see how nice the texture of the bottom is as it gets further and further up at a steeper angle. In this case, it looks like the 15 and 20 degree angles are starting to get a little different texture, and the website tells me to record a 3 if the 15 and 20 degree surfaces are starting to get a little weird. Next, I'm measuring bridging when these things have to print in the middle of the air and there's no support underneath. In this case, the bridge is printed fine with none of the overhangs touching any of the ledges below them. I get to report a 5. Next, I look on this side to see if I see any XY ringing. It's asking me to look for kind of vertical artifacts on here, and if I don't see any, I actually get to give it a 2.5, which this one's going to get. Next, I have to look at this vertical portion of the tower, and I'm just looking at the striations to see if there's really large gaps. It clearly doesn't look like the one on the right, which means I'm able to give it a 2.5. In the end, we get a total score of 26.5. Listen, that was a lot. That was not exciting, and I'm sorry. But you learned something, and that's pretty cool. I love you guys, I'm proud of you, and don't forget to follow me and leave a comment down below and like this video, share it with other nerds who love this stuff too.